Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at some of the stocks that were in play today. Yeah, we had the cryptocurrency stocks under pressure, but we had the marijuana sector was going off, and we had a lot of other stocks that were running. As you can see here, this was part of our list from last night's watch list. So keep that in mind. We do put out a watch list in our chat, in our premium chat. So if you're interested in getting more information on that, you can check out the link at the end of the video, below the video. And so yeah, so first up though, we're going to take a look at some of the stocks that were big runners today. Okay, so we had SAEX making a very bullish move today, closed up 54%. Notice RSI is at 58 and in the bull zone. So there's plenty of room to run until overbought levels. Okay, at Fasto's now at 70. You've got the crossover here, 75. You have a crossover here on ADX. So the chart's really heating up. There was a bullish move today above the middle Bollinger Band, the dotted purple line currently at 162, and above the 50-day simple moving average at 182. That's the green line. Notice the share price got above the 100-day simple moving average intraday and pulled back, forming an upper wick on the candle. So that's the whole key. Notice back here in September, it failed to get above the 100-day simple moving average. A close above that level is going to be a bullish change in trend. It's going to signal that this current pattern is broken and that a new pattern is possibly beginning, and that we could be looking at a potential, heading back up towards that 200-day simple moving average level. This closing price here at the end of October will be a big level to break, and then eventually up here near 290 is another big level if it can get past this 220 zone. So yeah, so keep an eye on it. A close, notice there's a giant volume spike, PSAR bull flip, and MACD bull crosses on both time frames. They're all signals the chart is really heating up. It just has to stay above the 50-day simple moving average and close. The close is the key, above the 100-day simple moving average to head higher. Okay, take a look at INPX, closed up 18% today. Okay, this stock was in a nasty downtrend. It broke below the middle Bollinger Band, started riding EMA4 resistance lower. That's the pink line, and today it closed above EMA4. That's what we always look for when a stock is pulling back. So the chart is heating up. As long as it stays above 24, it's in play. If it drops below that EMA4, it will be a risk to hold. It has to break EMA8 at 26 to head higher. If it gets above 26, EMA13 at 28 will be on deck. Okay, take a look at ABIL, closed up 23% today. RSI is at 50. It's breaking into the bull zone with a lot of room to run. Now you have Fasto back above 80. You've got a pinch situation here on ADX with plus DI and minus DI, both touching. If the green line crosses the red line to the upside, similar to how the green line crossed the black line, that signals the bulls are really heating up. You want to see ADX, that black line, bounce up, start angling upward. So this stock has been in a nasty downtrend. You can see back here, it broke middle Bollinger Band support at the second week of October. And so this October 11th close below the middle Bollinger Band signaled it was a risk to hold. People really have a hard time with this concept. And then what happens is they hold right here and they wait a little bit longer, like, oh, it's kind of hanging in there, it's hanging in there. And then it gets down to here and they're like, well, what should I do now? Is this going to come back? And it's like, dude, you missed it. Like you needed to be out way back here, and then you held, and then now you're underwater, and it's like you're going to have to sell for a loss to get out. It just becomes a nasty situation if you're long. This is a great place to start a short position. This is where you want to start shorting, and then you just keep riding it down. As long as it's riding EMA's 4 and 8 resistance lower, you can keep riding that short all the way into the ground. And so basically what I'm trying to say is just follow the charts. When the stocks get below the middle Bollinger Band on the daily chart and it turns into resistance, you don't want to be long, okay, unless you're trying to play the bounce. And if you're playing the bounce, it needs to be above EMA4 and then get above EMA8. So yeah, just throwing that out there. It comes up daily in the chat, and so I'm just trying to help everyone. The middle Bollinger Band here at 46 is breaking. Okay, so there was a close above that level today. That was the huge close. Notice the last close was way back here on the 9th of October. So it kept trying to close above and it failed. So this is what bulls have been looking for. On a bullish volume spike, you have a PSAR bull flip. The green dots are now below the candles. You have recent MACD bull crosses. So everything's set up here. It just has to stay above 46. As long as it holds the middle Bollinger Band, it's in play, and then we'll be looking for a run up to the 50-day simple moving average at 57. Notice that's lined up with the upper Bollinger Band. That will be the key level to break. Okay, let's look at NETE. Closed down 3% today. This is the old old gap and trap. Okay, you guys, you can't, this is an old dog. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Just because you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a freaking pig. Okay, this company is notorious for dumping and diluting and driving the share price down lower. And if you're not careful, you can easily become a bag holder. Remember, this is still NETE. Yeah, the share price may have hit $34 today because they're freaking lucky and they got, they're claiming they're in the whole cryptocurrency thing. But the reality is they had a reverse split, and that's the only reason why the share price got jacked up, because they drove it down so freaking low. They had to do a reverse split to keep it listed. So this company, in my opinion, is another one of those companies that's just jumping on the bandwagon. I have no idea. I'm looking at the charts, and I just know this stock from over the years of just constantly diluting. So you can't trust these plays. So the point I'm trying to make is this big gap open yesterday with the spinning top. That was a red flag. Okay, so that is the signal to go to the sidelines. Now, people did get lucky and they got rewarded with that gap up open, and they had a chance to sell at much higher levels. So congrats to them. That was super sweet. But that was a risky situation to hold last night. And then, with the spinning top above the upper Bollinger Band, giant gap, the EMA 4 down here at 13 is the first support level. And so now today you have a situation where the candles have pulled back in. I'm not sure if that's halfway in the candle. That looks almost like a bearish dark cloud cover. Regardless, it's a negative bearish pattern, and the candles are likely to work back into the bands. So if you see a drop here below this open, but if it drops below 18, then you're looking at a potential pullback to 14. That's really the first big support level. That's the risk of the stock. So if you and let me just show you here too. If you look at the accumulation distribution, and you're going to see the big thing is what these guys do is they're using the big huge rally to dump shares. And so yeah, that's great for people that are it's all fine as long as you're not the one that bought at the top and become a bag holder. So look at accumulation distribution. It fell off a freaking cliff. Notice how yesterday, that's this move right here, it was down yesterday even though it was up huge. It went from $5 to $18, but accumulation distribution spiked down here. So there was a spike down in shaking money flow, and then today it dropped off a freaking cliff because they unloaded a ton of shares at super high prices. I mean, they scored. It's going to be a Merry Christmas for all these companies. And keep in mind, they're all giving, not all of them, but there have been press releases put out that they're giving themselves bonuses because their companies are doing so well, which I find it's pretty amusing. Yeah, so we'll see if these guys really have a legit business or not. We'll see what happens. I'm not, making any kind of comment on the due diligence. I'm just following the charts here, and yeah, if you look here at the setup on the 15-minute chart, so it's got this basically a sideways channel here where it broke up here to the top. It gapped up, and so it came down and it filled the gap. So there was a gap between high of day here and low of day. That lower wick almost filled the gap. It came down, filled the gap, broke Bollinger Band support. And so if you were, you notice how it got faded. So the share price just pretty much dropped this whole day. Notice how it faded. When you can draw a descending resistance line like that, you don't want to be long. As long as the candles are not breaking that pattern, the signal is to be on the side or short. You can short it here and be short, and then you're on the right side of the trade. Or you want, you don't want to be long until it breaks above resistance. So it has to get back above EMA 4, above the 50 and the middle Bollinger Band. So not until that share price is back above 22 will this chart be bullish again. Now the downside risk is it drops below 17, and then the next big support level is down here at the 100 simple moving average at 13. So that's the next target if 17 breaks. So keep that in mind. NXTD. Okay, so similar type of situation here. This is another old dog. That you can't teach new tricks, and this is the big punishment today for everybody that bought at high levels thinking this was going to the moon. Notice that super long wick. That's some major dilution. They were able to dump a ton of freaking shares at super high prices, so they lucked out big time on this whole cryptocurrency craze. And so notice how you've got the volume really low down here, and then it's building, and then boom, big spike. That's a climax spike. They were able to climax spike this out 2 days in a row, and so this was what we call a gap gap and trap. You know, they gap it up, they run it up, and then everybody that chased up here, if they didn't exit, you know, they're underwater. And so it creates, once the share price starts dropping lower, it creates this domino effect where everybody's fighting each other to get out. And so yeah, so now you have an unfilled gap here. So a drop down here to the top of yesterday's candle would fill that gap, just about 377, 380. And there's another gap way down here. So if it dropped down to about 224, it would fill the second gap. The first moving average support level is way down here at 309. If you look here at the 15-minute chart, you're going to see how it broke down. You know, it had this, you know, nice Elliott wave pattern here. You know, you've got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 push, right? Basically, it's looking like, and then you've got your corrective waves happening now. So now it's down here, and you know, it's A, B, C. You know, so I mean, is it going to bounce off the 50 simple moving average? It could. It has to get back above the 50 at 465. If 465 is resistance, and notice how the candles are just riding EMA4 straight down. I mean, that's great if you're short, but it's just painful if you're a bear or a bull. And so you don't want to be long when that's happening. You want to wait for it to break above resistance. And so now if it doesn't get above 465, you're looking at a drop all the way down here to the 100 simple moving average at 325. Okay, let's look at AEZS here. Okay, so this is another nasty chart. This is not what you want if you're a bull. This is great if you shorted at the top, but if you are long, you know, this isn't what you want to see unless you were you know, loaded down here, and then you got the payoff from the gap up open. But this thing, you know, the open today was way up here at what was it, 322 was the open, 325 was the high, and then look at the close way down. It closed at low of day. Like the bears were so strong that the last trade of the day was low of day. It was like this thing was the best thing to slice bread when it was running up here, but then all of a sudden people, you know, nobody wanted it going into the close. Everybody was just dumping it hand over fist. So now it's got this big gap, and the risk is that it drops down here to the 300-day simple moving average at 240. That's the next really big support level. And so yeah, and the same thing, you know, if you looked at the chart on here, on the 15-minute chart, I will show you that you're going to see that it's a very similar pattern here. You know, the thing is that the ticker symbols change, but the patterns never do, and that's why we just try to stick to certain rules. And so yeah, if you look here, this was this had the black candle on the daily chart, and then notice the first candle of the day on the 15-minute chart was a black candle, and then they dropped it down. It never got back above that level. That's your red flag, just to get out as quickly as possible. And notice it just kept going lower and lower and lower. It just got faded. You know, it's the gap and trap, and everybody's trapped that's above this level. Notice the low of day. It was like people were fighting themselves to get out. The next support level on this chart is way down here at 244 at the 50 simple moving average. Okay, take a look at FH. Closed up 26% today, so congrats everybody. I guess this is another cryptocurrency play. It's made a big move above, you know, and I don't know when they got into the crypto game. I've been, you know, following this stock on my list for a while, and you know, every once in a while it makes runs, and so today it got the big breakout on whatever the news was, and so here you go. It got above the 50, the 100, got above the middle Bollinger Band, and it temporarily above the 200-day simple moving average at 148. That's the key level to break. If it fails to get above that level, that's going to signal that it's going to consolidate. And notice how it's hitting right here at the recent high close zone. So that's the September, October. You know, this was the big double top level. So if it can stay above this 143 level, that's going to be bullish. And then if it can get above 149, get up above, you know, get in that 150 zone, then it could head up here to the 300-day simple moving average. If you see it drop below 142, that's going to signal consolidation, and you could see it pull back into the Bollinger Bands. The upper Bollinger Band is way down here at 130, with EMA4 way down there at 125. Okay, so take a look at RIOT. Here we go, RIOT. This was the big winner today. If you were short, you know, if you bought puts. So Citron got the big payoff today. Yesterday, the puts were basically a mixed bag. You know, they weren't paying off yesterday on the red candle, but today was the huge payoff. Some were up well over 500%. So congrats to everybody that's following our options calls and it's been in there following our option alerts and our chat. I recommend you coming in there and checking it out. Yeah, so this, you know, I was putting out alerts early that it was, you know, confirming the bearish reversal pattern. So you had multiple red flags here. You know, you've got the inverted candle on the 18th, and then you have the inverted hammer here. then the red candle here the next day, and so this could be confirming the inverted hammer, or you can say that this was bearish engulfing reversal pattern, and then today confirmed the pattern. This was just all saying these candles up here, just to lock in gains. This was the whole, lock it in up here, and then and look for a reload lower. And the big reason why is because you've got the gaps. There's a gap right here. So gap, what we're calling it, gap number 3, that did fill today. And so it came down to gap number 2, and it almost filled gap number 2. I mean, it's really, really close. It could be considered filled. It's like right there, but it's not. But it's like almost there. And so the big thing on this chart is it has to hold EMA 13 at 26.67. That's what it bounced off today. That's what we were looking for. We were looking for a bounce. I mean, we'd love to see this thing bounce and reverse and have all the bulls make money. That would be great. But the bottom line is that if that EMA 13 breaks, then it's heading lower, and the next support level is going to be the middle Bollinger Band at 21. That's why we're saying a drop below 26 puts 21 on deck, and so this is the reason why. If you look back here on the previous pullback in November, it was able to hold EMA 13, and that's exactly what could happen here. I mean, notice it held EMA 13. During this entire run, it has not closed below EMA 13, so that's been the pattern. So it should be able to hold it here, and that's why I put out alerts. And one of the reasons why I'll show you the next chart, another reason that it could bounce here. So we'll see what happens with this level. If it closes, if it breaks below, that's going to be a red flag. If you see it drop below 26 tomorrow, you could really see it drop down to that middle Bollinger Band. You notice back here it's broken back below the middle Bollinger Band at times. So we'll have to see. It has to stay above the middle Bollinger Band to keep the uptrend going. If you look up here on the 15-minute chart, this is the 15-minute chart we've been working on in the chat, and you can see the red flags up here. It had the climax volume spike on the 19th. It had the peak up here, followed by the red candle. So the 11 o'clock candle on here was the high peak with the red candle that followed. This was the signal to lock in gains. If you didn't do that, then the following candle at 11:30, the break below EMA 4 was your signal to lock in gains. And if you still didn't do it there, then the break right here at 1 o'clock below the middle Bollinger Band was your signal to lock in gains. And if you still didn't do it there, then on the 20th, when it broke below the 50 simple moving average, it was really telling you, man, you should probably just get to the sidelines. And look what happened. I mean, this thing dropped off a freaking cliff. And so, yeah, don't go against the charts. The charts are there to help you. They will help, steer you to, lead you to the pot of gold and steer you away from danger. And so right now it's hitting the 300 simple moving average. That's the bottom level here at 26.63. If that level holds, the blue line, then it should bounce off of here. If it fails to hold that level, then you're talking about downside risk, and that's when we're saying 21. This is the last line of defense. It broke the 50, it broke the middle Bollinger Band, which is the 20 simple moving average. So it broke the 20, the 50, the 100, the 200, and now it's trying to hold the 300. If it breaks the 300, then the 15-minute chart is just completely out of whack. It's completely retraced. It retraced from the breakout from over here on the 14th. So yeah, and you could see the gap right here. Notice how the lower wick on this candle almost hit the bottom of the gap, but it's still slightly unfilled. This was the high from the 14th, the gap that it's trying to fill right now. So yeah, so RIOT is under pressure. It needs to bounce here for the bulls. Okay, let's look at OSTK. So this one's pulling back as well. The puts didn't deliver the big gains today. Yesterday there were some nice percentage gains. It wasn't bad. They had the bearish Haremy cross reversal pattern on the 19th. Yesterday the pattern was confirmed. Today the chart's breaking down. We got the move that we were looking for, or some people were looking for. I was looking for the break below EMA 4, because to me it looks like the chart's breaking down. And the big thing is the ICO did not launch. I mean, think about that. They had a big, that was a big blunder. They had it out there that they were going to have a launch date, and it failed to happen. And then now the share price is pulling back. That was a huge miscalculation by the company, and the share price is suffering. And now on top of that, you have the entire cryptocurrency sector under pressure. The entire blockchain sector is under pressure, so that's going to make it harder to bounce. If the whole sector bounces and it's green tomorrow, that would really help Overstock. But if the entire sector is under pressure and the programs are set to sell the blockchain stocks, then this could see more pressure. Now the big thing that everybody's waiting for, all the bulls, are for that good news that's going to come out, and it could come out at any time. And at any time that the good news comes out, that should destroy the puts. That should be a really bullish development. It would be crazy if they sold the news, that would be mind-blowing for a lot of people. If the ICO news came out and then the launch came out and then they sold the news, I mean, everybody's expecting a big boost. That would be really wild. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you never know. So the bottom line is just follow the charts. Right now, the charts are telling you downside risk. It's below EMA 4. It has to get back above EMA 4. Usually when this stock pulls below EMA 4, it consolidates. Look, it did it back here on the 27th. It ended up dropping below the middle Bollinger Band, all the way down to the 50 simple moving average. It did it back here at the beginning of November, dropped all the way down to the middle Bollinger Band. You know, it broke back here. It went all the way down, close to the middle Bollinger Band, EMA 30. I mean, when the EMA 4 breaks, I mean, you know, there's been a couple times where it's held up, but usually if the candle body gets below, it gets lower. You know, it held right here, and that's what the bulls are looking for. You're looking for this move if you're a bull. You're looking for just a slight little bounce off of the EMA 8, and that could totally happen here. You know, it could totally happen. But if it doesn't, and you see a break below EMA 8 at 65.91, then that's going to be a red flag, and you're going to see EMA 13 at 6247 tested, and then the big drop could be all the way down to the middle Bollinger Band at 56 if they don't get a launch soon. You know, you never know that you could wake up tomorrow morning and they could have great news for everybody. So we'll see. I'm hoping the best for everyone. Okay, look at MYMMF. Okay, so this has been on one heck of a run. I've been alerting this thing for, well, for a long time. You know, I was alerting it down here. You know, I was learning it down here when it first started. You know, it was going sideways. I've done lots of updates on the marijuana sector in our chat. I've been doing it for a long time. And so if you'd like to learn more, come check it out. I mean, just look here. This is our chat. And then you can see here, this is the marijuana sector chat. This is all stocks from today that have been posted, analyzed, all good plays. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of them. So we have an unlimited supply of good plays on a freaking daily basis. So come check it out. I recommend going to the premium chat. It's super worth it. It's going to be the best investment you've ever made. Okay, let's look here at NXTTF. Okay, it coming up here on EMA 4. It's just riding EMA 4 support higher. It's just been on this super strong uptrend. You know, they had the news that they got the deal with Canopy Growth. That skyrocketed up. You know, they're selling their hydro equipment with them. It was with either was it Canopy or Aurora. Yeah, I've been looking at analyzing so many of these stocks today. They made the big deal with the big dog. The thing took off. Now it pulled back, and then it broke out again. It held. Okay, when it came back and it held the EMAs 4 and 8, and then it took off higher. And so when it broke above high close resistance. Okay, so this closing price here on the 27th was the big level to break. This close right here on the 12th, this was your signal. Everybody always asks, like, so, you know, what's that signal, you know, that to jump in, you know, how do you know? And one way to find good entry points is by drawing the high close resistance level. And then once there's a break above it, many times that's the signal that the share price wants to head higher, and that's exactly what happened here. And so for this type of play, you know, we're calling these longer term swing trades because, you know, these companies have a lot of upside potential. And yeah, as long as they're riding EMA 4 support higher, the signal is to just keep riding. You know, the easiest thing to do with NXTF has been to just keep riding. You know, you could have just done nothing and got in November and just been on cruise control because the chart's been bullish the whole time. It hasn't signaled to exit. Okay, let's look at CANN. It hasn't signaled to exit for the swing traders, because we have people that are trading in various different styles. You know, some people day trade, some people micro flip, some people like to swing trade short term, just like overnight, and some people look for longer term swing trade plays, or maybe people do a combination of all of those. Okay, let's look at CANN. This is another cannabis company. You know, you can see up here it closed up 43%. This made a really nice move. It has some juice left in the tank. You have RSI at 65. Notice it's been able to cruise above 70 before. You have a bullish crossover in Fast Stone. It's only at 67, so it's not even above 80 yet. And there was a nice bounce off of the middle Bollinger Band. You know, you had this nice hammer type candlestick. It does have an upper wick, you know, but it's a similar type of candle as a hammer or a doji. It was a gap down with a long upper wick, small body. You know, during a downtrend, this was signaling the bounce off the middle Bollinger Band, so it had really nice follow through. So now what we're looking for is a break above the closing price on the 12th. 12. If it can break above that level and then get above 5 resistance, that's going to signal it wants to head higher. If you see it come up and hit 5 and stall out, that could be a temporary top. As long as that $3 support level holds, the uptrend should continue. And then one more to leave you with, PTOP. Okay, so this thing has been crushing it. It has been on fire. It made a really big move today. You know, we alerted it back here. We've been putting out alerts on this thing, you know, since it was heating up. And then we had the alert here on the 18th. And then, you know, it's just been running nonstop pretty much this you know, this whole week. And today it had that parabolic spike. Notice it ran all up to 672. You know, there's a volume spike there. Volume bars are hard to see on this chart, but they're down here. You can see it was the big volume bar with the pullback from the upper wick. This could be the climax spike after a multi-day run. We'll see. You know, if the candles work back into the bands, it could drop down here. EMA4 is all the way down at 2.5, and the chart could still remain bullish. You know, what you have to do is follow that 15-minute chart to see if, you know, the chart's holding up or breaking down. And as you can see here, it's, you know, the candles are riding really nice. And then once it got below EMA4 here, it pulled back. This line right here is the middle Bollinger Band. It's holding it right now. As long as it can stay above 0462, then that'll signal that the chart's still holding up. If it drops below that level, then you could see some consolidation. But the chart's still super strong. Just keep in mind, nothing goes straight up. You know, stocks ebb and flow. The key is to catch the wave on the way up, and then jump off while it's pulling back, or ride it short, and then jump on for the next wave. And you know, just try to find the rhythm in the markets. Okay. All right, thank you very much for viewing this video. If you'd like to learn more about charts and technical analysis, come check us out at our chat, and we'll post a link at the bottom of the YouTube video. Thank you.